Hey guys, today I wanted to make a video out of all of my previous videos on a topic. Today's video will be a supercut of everything Superworm. From pupation to egg collection, all of my videos covering these topics are being rolled into one supercut video. I will be removing portions of the intro, outro, and any advertisements I have in the videos to make them pure information. And with that out of the way, let's start the video.
To start, superworm eggs are laid as sticky white eggs. They typically take 7 to 10 days to hatch. You can collect them in a number of ways: cardboard, cotton, or screen. Once the eggs hatch, it can take anywhere from 3 to 5 months for the superworms to mature and be ready for pupation. Over that course of time, they will grow significantly. Once the worms have grown to their proper length of 1.5 to 2 inches, they are ready for pupation. Once isolated, the superworm may take up to a week to curl up into a C shape. It takes roughly 1 week from there to become a pupa, and 2 to 3 weeks from pupa to beetle. Once your superworm has become a beetle, they will be ready to reproduce within 2 weeks. Your beetle has a life expectancy of roughly 6 months for males, and the average is a bit shorter for females. If we add it all up, from egg to worm to pupa to beetle to death, your superworm should have a total lifespan of about 1 year. Alright guys, that wraps this one up. What do you guys?
Okay guys, today I'm coming to you with a more in-depth video on superworm pupation. Recently I've been asked quite a few questions in the comment section about pupation, so I figured I'd provide a better explanation than I did in my superworm breeding guide, and give a few examples. After all, it was my first video, and I could have done better on it. However, it is by far my most viewed video. So this video is my 100 subscriber special. I only planned 4 videos this month, but since hitting this milestone, and various questions I've been asked, I decided to whip this video up for you guys, and thank you for the journey that we've had together thus far. Let's start with picking worms and how I go about doing it. I isolate the worms I feel are large enough into a bin alone, and I feed them fresh every day. I don't exactly measure them, I just kind of eyeball it. Ideally, you want them to be a bit plump and quite long. I've gotten used to doing it. I rarely have to put worms back because I chose ones that were not ideal. To increase your chances of having all of your worms pupate, provide them with a constant supply of fresh veggies a few days, preferably weeks, before pupation. This helps get them fat and store up a lot of moisture for their metamorphosis. If you are having problems with worms not always pupating, try this. I can almost guarantee that you will have better results. I placed around 30 worms into isolation this round. I've seen a lot of debate on what causes them to pupate online. The channel Leopard Gecko has a good video on this where she proves several different conditions work, and the one thing that remained the same across all of her pupation conditions was isolation. Her video is linked below if you want to know what and how she tested it. Ideally, you want worms approaching 1.5 to 2 inches in length. The second biggest factor is how fat they are. I don't suggest trying to cause a worm to pupate if it is long enough but isn't a little fat. This is a good comparison. This worm is a chunky boy and is ready to become a beetle. I wouldn't bother with this one until it was larger. Just keep feeding them until they grow big and fat. You want a healthy beetle. So these are my jars after the worms have pupated. I have since added new worms into the cycle, and as you can see, they are in condiment cups from my previous video. Some of the worms have yet to pupate, though sometimes I have to put a few back. If it goes on longer than a week and a half, before curling up into a C, I place the worm back and let them grow. The worm will stay in the pupa stage for a few weeks. It will slowly darken over time. You can use this to predict which one will hatch first. As the legs and eyes get darker and darker, more features of the beetle can be seen more clearly. I do not have any complete footage of a beetle emerging. I've read that you can apparently sex them in this stage. I'm going to be showing close-ups for a moment of the area to my understanding that you are supposed to be able to tell the sexes apart. However, they all basically look the same to me. So I think I'm either looking at the wrong spot or the info I read was wrong. Their faces have not developed enough at this point to use my method either. However, it may be a possibility as time progresses. I'll have to try sometime, but I will be sexing this entire batch of beetles in another video after they hatch, along with setting up a small.
Okay guys, just wanted to do a quick video on Morio worm egg collection and give you guys some insight into actually what is happening behind the scenes of breeding these little critters. In one bin, I have set aside some cardboard. These pieces all have eggs on them. I check the sides of all the cardboard I put into the bin for eggs. About every 10 days, I trade these pieces out for ones I had sitting in the rearing bin. Once broken apart, you can see just how many eggs you have, and you will likely find little superworms on the cardboard as well.
I've noticed with a few of my females that the organ they lay their eggs with begins to protrude as they search for an ideal area. The females seemingly prefer to lay their eggs in nooks and crannies. The holes in the cardboard and the small space between each piece is ideal. The tube they extend is quite long. I haven't measured it, but it seems to be about half the length of the beetle, and they can maneuver it quite well. I unfortunately did not capture an egg sliding out, but you can get a good idea from these close-ups of how it all works. The female beetle will choose several different locations to lay her clutch of eggs. I've watched many of my female beetles go to varying locations and extend their egg tube into the cardboard as they walk around it. Sometimes other beetles interrupt them, but they will just continue on like it wasn't even rude. After a week to 10 days, you will start to see tiny superworms as they hatch. You may not notice them in the bedding, and they may not leave the cardboard for a few days. You can bang the cardboard out carefully, and the worms will fall out. I just leave them as is and let them do their thing. Make sure you have bedding and a source of moisture for the new worms as they hatch and crawl off the cardboard. And there you go, guys, that's it. This contraption that you can make with cardboard will completely change how you collect your superworm eggs. Did you find this information helpful? Consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon. I plan to do a detailed video of how to sex the Zephobus morio beetle. So I've been looking around the web lately and trying to find info on how to sex a superworm or Zephobus morio beetle. So I decided to do another quick video covering the information I found, and what I found online was quite sparse. So I decided to test it myself. I'll quickly go over the information I found and what I've seen for myself. It was this nugget that started the experiment. However, this was not satisfying enough for me. I have all the links below that I've been showing. These are the top results for how to sex a superworm beetle and how to sex Zephobus morio. The nugget I found shows the following and my tests against it. The males of the species seem to have a C right above their mouth parts. I found a pair of my beetles mating, and the one in the penetrative position had the C shape on its face, and this one was for certain a male. Females seem to have a flat line above their mouth parts. I found another beetle within my colony that was laying eggs, and it had the same face structure that was described, so I know that this one, for certain, was female. The lightly colored beetles I've been showing are mine and just hatched, and I happen to get one of each face. I am going to set them up in a small enclosure of their own and see if I can catch them mating and laying eggs. Let's go over what I'm going to be using. A small insect carrier from a pet store or dollar store, some ground old-fashioned oats, a toilet paper roll cut in half for hides. I placed a dish for water beads and another small dish to hold a slice of carrot. I buried the first hide and placed the second on top of it and placed both ends against the enclosure wall so that I could always see them while giving them extra surface area. So after placing everything, I introduced these beetles to their new home. Starting with the male, I do not like to grab these guys with the tongs, so I let them do the job for me, holding on as I relocate them. Both insects are still weak, however, they seem to explore their enclosure for a bit before going into their cave to eventually rest. The last thing I'm going to be placing is an egg collector. If you have not watched my video regarding this, click the video card above and give it a quick watch. This video is only a few minutes long. Since July 14th, they have been relatively idle in their enclosure. I checked on them multiple times a day, and they were always within their hide. A change happened around the 28th, and on August 2nd, I found the couple mating. I got a shot of both of their faces. We can clearly identify the male has a C shape on its face, and the female has a straight line on its face. At this point, it was enough for me to call it. The next step in my experiment is to add more females to the enclosure and see if I can figure out a healthy ratio of how many females a single male can fertilize, which is yet another question I have been unable to find an answer for. I'm going to be keeping the egg collector separate and also upgrading their enclosure to something larger so that they can have more room to roam, and I can expand further with the experiment, adding more females as I go. I intend on finding the ideal ratio between males and females for optimal superworm production. But today, I'm going to be showing you how to count superworms and mealworms. But if you are new to the channel, consider subscribing and hitting the bell icon for more videos in the future like this. Alright, now let's get us an estimate of our yield. Remember, this will not be exact, it will be roughly approximate at best. I remove all of the food before I begin to weigh the worms. If 10 weighs 8 grams,
and 20 weighs 15 to 16 grams, and they collectively weigh 510 grams. To scale, we should have roughly 637 worms, give or take some still growing. With the way my bin is, I should have more than the estimate, since I still have worms growing. I have to get a better set of sifters. The better you keep the worms sorted, the more accurate your count will be. Right now, I don't have much reason to do this other than sheer curiosity to see the rate at which my colony is growing. I do not feed off my supers yet, so every worm will become a beetle until next summer. My colony should grow at an exponential rate. My goal is to have several colonies into the thousands. This is just a test run of weighing, if any of you were curious and didn't know how it was generally done. I want to also share something I've learned recently. I bought a caliper. I've been measuring how fat some of the worms are. I'm collecting measurements to create a sorter that is easy to make, so you guys can build one right at home yourselves. It may take me a while to get it right, but once I have it working, I will share it with you guys. As of right now, worms I would consider pupating would be anything close to 5.5 millimeters. Most of these worms are not ready yet, as some of the bigger ones are only measuring 5 millimeters. I'm going to give them until the end of the month and then start the pupation process. I'm going to try the largest ones I have, and then some that are right at 5 millimeter, and then others that are under, and see if there is a difference. But until then, the principle behind counting superworms is the same for mealworms. Count out 20 or 30 nice-sized mealworms, see what they weigh, repeat the process. Then weigh your batch after sorting. Divide the weight of the set you counted by the weight of the batch of worms. Then multiply that number you originally counted. Here's a hypothetical. If 30 mealworms weigh 1 gram and you have 1 pound of mealworms, you should have 13,000 mealworms, give or take. I haven't weighed mealworms enough, and this was just a made-up weight for them. I don't think adding mealworms into the video outside of this example is necessary, as even this example is applicable to superworms. However, if it is something you guys would want to see, I can do a video of weighing what I currently have. Tell me in the comments. Well guys, that's about it. If you have it in your critter-loving heart, give this video a like, a subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more videos in the future like this. And as always guys, from Thegizards and I, have a wonderful day.